Good morning and God bless. Hopefully, you are walking around with massive gratitude and graciousness and the humility that comes with being alive and being a beast. Let's get busy. Let's get to work. If you can't carry it, you weren't crowned, you were crushed. The blessing isn't just the crown, it is the crucible. You prayed for it, you fasted for it. You marched through hell and demanded heaven's favor, as you should. And now you've got it. The role, the relationship, the reach, the reward. But what nobody told you was blessings break and rank reveals who's really sealed. Warning, this transmission reveals the true cost of being answered. Side effects may include sudden emotional fatigue after finally getting what you wanted, quiet resentment toward what you once called favor, self sabotage disguised as humility, and the haunting sense that your blessing is watching you fumble it. Welcome to Raw for Epoch 2, day 141. This isn't just about receiving, it's about reigning. And right now, your throne is judging your posture. Let's get into our concept overview. When the blessings break you, you didn't just ask for a promotion, you asked to be processed. You didn't just pray for a family, you prayed for the fortitude to father, to mother, to nurture. You didn't just manifest visibility, you manifested spiritual warfare under spotlight. Here's what you'll learn: why every blessing is a battlefield disguised as a breakthrough, how premature rank creates spiritual weight collapse, why God won't bless what you're not ready to bear, what to do when the blessings start revealing the cracks in your character, and how to restructure your life so favor doesn't fracture your soul. Some of us are receiving the blessings, some of us are running the system, and then questioning the very blessings we asked for. Let's get into our visual metaphor: the cracked foundation under the throne. Immerse yourself. Imagine and picture this. You just built your dream house. The crown molding is clean. The marble floors glisten. The upstairs office screams arrival. But then, the floor cracks under your foot. The walls start to moan. The house is shifting. And before long, the tiles start splitting from the pressure you can't see. That is a blessing placed on an untested foundation, and it's how most people handle favor. They decorate their dreams without ever reinforcing the floorboards of remembrance. We're going to get into my personal perspective, but hear this abundantly loud and clear. Your foundation, everything about what you perceive to be the blessing that will elevate your life experience. If you don't have strength in your core, in your foundation, you will fold even as you are receiving exactly what you prayed for. Some of you are already looking to dress the windows before you fortified the basement, before you have ensured the studs are up before the concrete was even poured. Let's go into my personal perspective. Where the chat at? Where the chat at? Who's out there cracking under the pressure of blessings? How dare you? Here's my personal perspective. I call this the vice grip of growth. Let me be transparent. I've made the 180, the about face, the opposite direction, right? No drinks, no weed, no infidelity, no absence, no neglect. I'm in my home. I'm in my body. I'm in my presence. I'm in my bag. I'm parenting my kids, not just feeding them. I'm loving my wife, not just living with her. I'm building my spirit, not just preserving my life. But I'd be straight up bold-faced lying if I said the blessing doesn't feel like a vice grip. This level of obedience doesn't come with relief. It comes with refinement. It's like God answered my prayer, locked my soul in a harness, and started peeling back every layer I didn't even know I still had. I feel him strip my old skin like Hannibal Lecter surgery. Slowly, precisely, no anesthesia. And what makes it even harder is the fact that the fire I'm being burned by, it ain't even really touching me yet. I'm not submerged, I'm hovering above it, but the heat is real. And every new blessing is a higher flame. Here's the part nobody wants to admit while they're selling you programs for $19.99. You can do everything right. Pray daily, love deeply, parent actively, serve humbly, and still feel like you are being broken. That's when I realized you can't rehearse growth. You can't script refinement. You can't pre-plan the purification. The process is the pulpit. You are not being rewarded. You're being forged. And at any moment, comfort is still on the table. At any moment, you can slide back into the numbness. Don't get it twisted. God will not stop you. Because obedience is only holy when it's free. You can quit. You can absolutely quit right now and stop. And that's the trap. The muscle of remembrance can still atrophy. Even years into growth, you can forget what it costs to leave your old self behind. That's why I stay pressed in, man. That's why this podcast, this purpose, this presence has to be rooted in fire. Because the moment I take a break and call it rest, when I really know it's retreat, I'm not just giving up growth. I'm calling regression obedience. And that is the worst lie of all. Before we get into our system teachings, this is sort of when I rant a little bit off script. Man, I think the foundation of the message is that I find the closer you get to what you believe is your core, your root, which for me is God, returning to my soul. We talk about remembrance. Maybe it's me, but I thought that the blessings, what you receive, the pendulum swinging and moving towards abundance, obvious abundance. Like you can look back and say, yo, look how far I have come. And actually pause and have a moment of reflection. And you're like, yo, a bunch of years just passed. And I actually got what I asked for. So why don't I feel fulfilled anymore? Why do I all of a sudden feel like I'm confused and I don't know where to go? Literally, the everything I have prayed for up until this juncture has been provided by God. Why does it feel harder? Why does it feel like I'm even more siloed and alone and in the darkness? It's like relationally, God and I were flowing. We were talking every day. All of a sudden, I stopped hearing him. And you're like, yo, where you at? Oh, he's still there. But the way we talked about silence and energy yesterday, he got to go silent. I already talked about the magnitude of this. Some blessings come in absolute silence. The way that you can atrophy and regress into stasis and paralyze your consciousness and never grow again is the way that you can leap forward, expand, extend, and get massive abundance from where you previously were, and then still become regressive in this way. The new you is now the new expectation. It's the new baseline. So the way it used to make you feel good and make you feel high, you built up a tolerance for being the type of successful person you have become. And here's the reality. There's no cap, no ceiling, no limit to continuing your success. And so now the conundrum, the quagmire, the inflection point is like, but what? I did all that to get here. Naturally, of course, I want more, but you're saying I got to re-enter the process? No, you're not re-entering. You never leave the process. And God may not be willing to speak right now. God may now be testing your patience. Yo, hold on, I gave you a lot. You've come very far. Have you stopped being grateful? Have you stopped being gracious? Have you lost your sense of urgency? Have you lost your sense on stability for pushing and pulling towards love-derived blissful states of consciousness? Will you quit on your apex? Yo, I wanted the podcast and I want the followers. I've been at 1,600 for like 3 months. Wait a minute. Do you not remember zero? Yo, I haven't gotten a comment, a like, a subscribe, or anything meaningful in like 2 weeks. Are you going to neglect the thousands of hours of watch time? Yo, my wife and I, we stopped fighting. We are now starting to look towards growing and stretching and expanding our marriage. I just got off a conversation with somebody who's celebrating their 32nd marriage anniversary tomorrow. What do you think that takes? 32 years of marriage. What do you think they've been through? How do you think you not just sustain that? That's growth. You prayed, you prayed, you prayed. You got the business, you got the license, you got the product. Okay, it's not selling as much. You quit. You wanted the job, you got the promotion, you got the money. You stop performing. You made the move. You changed the zip code. You went to the burbs. You stopped paying attention to the scenery, the environment. You forgot the fact that you're still allowed to breathe. You can attain success and then get totally confused and just stunned by this massive wall where you're like, yo, what is no longer happening? And why am I not continuing to move the way I've been moving? And it doesn't make me feel the way it used to make me feel. And then that's when you look back and you're like, yo, I could just flow right back into where I was at. And I give it all up. And sometimes giving it all up and flowing back is never moving from where you got that the blessings were handed to you. And you stop stretching the blessings. That's how your blessings stay small. That's how you go from being a small business to medium business to viral, right? Because you prayed for it, you got a little taste, and you were like, wait a minute, I want more. About what? You don't want to put in the work no more? It's not enough for you? Let's get into our system teachings. The blessing burden mechanics. Let us clear the theology. Favor without formatting is fatal. If your internal system isn't coded to carry the spiritual weight of your new reality, your blessing will crush your nervous system, your voice, your self-trust, and your relational structures. Blessings activate subconscious belief audits. The moment you're handed more eyes, more weight, more exposure, more responsibility, your internal ranking goes through an identity scan. If your spirit isn't aligned with your role, your consciousness will outsource to whoever or whatever seems more equipped. That's why blessings make people insecure, impulsive, and emotionally erratic. We talked about STDs, spiritually transmitted diseases like imposter syndrome, comparison, and performance fatigue all stem from mishandled favor. God doesn't test you with pain, He tests you with answered prayer. Blessings aren't just affirmations, they are audit tools. We're going to get into the consequences. Did you not hear those words? We talked about spiritually transmitted diseases. It's not just the complaint and the jealousy and the coveting. Imposter syndrome. You were given the prayer, you were given the blessing, the prayer was answered, and what happened? You weren't rooted. You're questioning your soul again. You're back to wondering if you're good enough. You're back to looking outside of yourself and watching what the environment is telling you, what the environment is showing you. You're questioning. You might even be wondering if you deserve this blessing. I can relate. Damn, God, you sure? Many are called, few are chosen. Are you sure? Maybe I should just stay right here. That's a test of your root. You're being audited. There's consequences of inaction. We want to level up, level up, level up. Where's your rank? Where's your rank? Where's your rank? When you don't handle your rank, your systems collapse from spiritual weight you prayed for but didn't prepare for. That is why the foundation is so important. That is why the basement and starting below the basement pavement is vital and critical and crucial to your success. If you skip the concrete pour, if you skip digging and excavating, and you skip burying the dead bodies, you start stuttering like me, because the spiritual weight you prayed for, sometimes God is like, I know I can trust you. I'm gonna give you a little bit. I'm gonna give you a little bit because I gotta see if you're gonna put in the rest of the work. And when you come out into the light and you get exposure, sometimes you win at very small scales. And the fact people will question you, you can't win. You can't win. Then you get a little bit. They're like, oh, yeah, but that's light. Look at this other person. And you're like, yo, you're right. 1,600 subscribers, 1,160,000 subscribers. That's why comparison is the thief of joy. I think you need to compare and contrast and understand what the environment is doing. But relative is informational. It's wisdom. It's not to demean yourself. So you got to get your weight up. Your physical body, why do they stress so much that everything gets stronger when you build your legs? Foundationally, your core. You got to be able to hold the weight. So that's a consequence of inaction. Your systems collapse from spiritual weight you prayed for, but didn't prepare for. You begin resenting the thing you once called a reward. Imagine that you've gotten what you prayed for, and now somehow you feel like, this is not it. And now you resent it. You resent the early hours. You resent the extra work. You resent testing new products, testing new audiences, testing new environments. You got what you asked for. Now you resent it. Is it because you want more, or because you're scared of what you have, or you were never grateful to begin with? You got a weak foundation. You secretly sabotage what was sent to sanctify you just to get back to comfort. Hear me. The frustration you seek and feel is only confirmation that you are back in the growth phase. And the offering of comfort is always available to you. And you're conscious, no matter how much you stretch yourself towards the arc of growth, consciously, you will always default into like, man, I just want to chill. You start to I liked it better when I liked it better before my blessing. No, you just liked the comfort. Here's your worst of all, because worst of all, you fumble the favor so bad, you start calling it a curse. You rename your blessing as bondage because you never had the character to carry it. And now every blessing is seen as a threat, not a throne. There's levels. There's levels. There's levels to consciousness. There's levels to your soul. There's levels to your wisdom. There's levels to applied knowledge, to experience, to your physical, to your relationships, to your environments. And if you start deflecting your blessings now, you'll build up a system that'll just block, barrier, and barricade you off. You'll box yourself in and you'll just reject more blessings. And then God follows. It's not that he goes silence. You requested silent. You requested silence. God doesn't go silent when you stop receiving the blessings. You requested silence. You request silence when you go comfortable. You request silence when you got to grow. Surgery got to be performed. What did I say in my personal perspective? It feels like you're being held down. If you don't know what the Hannibal Lecter surgery is, yo, it's wild, right? You are being stripped. There's going to be no one. Why do I keep saying there's nobody's coming to save you? You can't go through this process with other people. You got to go through it alone. You got to let God perform surgery alone. He's building you up. Something's got to go. Even some of the things that got you the success and the blessing, that got to go too. Those were for old blessings. This is a never-ending ascension. I say we are finite with access to the infinite. What does that mean? Your life can explode and stay on an explosion path. But every now and again, gravity hits, man. Every now and again, you got to be reminded that there's loss. Every now and again, you got to remember that you will be sacrificed. How you feel, where your soul is at, what you expect, sometimes got to be sacrificed. Just as a reminder. All right, here's how to lock daily remembrance. We call this the blessing burden balance. Pre-check your systems. Wake up every day and ask, am I sealed enough today to carry what I asked for yesterday? Micro submit to the role. You're not the same person in every room. That is not inauthenticity. That's spirit. Excuse me. Oh, that was nasty. That's spiritual interoperability. You can stay sealed and still serve different dimensions. Then you want to reverence the weight. Don't just hold the blessing, bow to the authority that sent it. You're not carrying something light. You are carrying legacy. Some of you have been chosen to break the curse. Some of you have been chosen to break the generational curse that has been assigned to your lineage. And all you're going to do is pass it on. Spiritually transmitted diseases are real. What you want to do is heavy because it's legacy. Let's get into our daily phone tap where we audit, remix, re-record the creation covenant loop. You got the call. Now move like it's recorded. We start with an audit. Ask yourself, you can do this today. What emotion did the blessing trigger that I wasn't ready for? Was it guilt? Was it fear? Was it that good old ego? Who did I become the moment they handed me the mic, the role, the crown? Did you stay true to who you said you were going to be? Everybody gets an opportunity under the light. Everyone gets a little bit of light. How you handle that light determines and dictates how much more expansive the light gets. Everybody's pulled to the front of the room at some point. Everybody gets a mic. Everybody has a role. Everybody gets a crown. I talked about being apex driven, predator style. You think there's environments for everything. The bee has a queen. The ants have a queen. The lion rules the jungle, of course. Some of us just weren't meant to be lions. Or sometimes you got to be a lion. Sometimes you got to be the queen. Understand. Then you want to hit them with the remix. Our thought identity. You thought favor was going to feel good. You thought leadership was going to be applause. You thought the blessing meant rest. Oh, Jesus. But it is a war zone. You are thinking about quitting because you never thought you'd be called to bleed for what you prayed for. Do you get the weight of that? You thought when it was assigned to you that the pain stopped. Here's your new thought. This is not a punishment. This is precision. I'm being remade to match the rank. Before we get into action identity, because this should be flow right perfectly. When you are behaving in the present, it's because you already foresaw and contemplated the future. All that's left to do is behave in the way that you said you would behave. Now you want to re-record it, our action identity. Do not run from it. Walk toward it. Release, submit, surrender. Schedule the wait. Make your calendar match your crown. Don't pray for peace. Go and build structure around your blessing. When we talked about you forgot who you were, so you're forgetting who you are. You have already become because you are always becoming. The man or woman you want to be, the man or woman you see is not just outcome driven. It is not predicated off of the physical reality of being socially accepted in our cultures. It's not about anything you've even been taught. It's about what you believe about yourself. Who do you believe you are? Just who do you think you are? Because whoever you do think you are, that is the person, that is the structure that needs to hold in order to expand your blessing. The blessing didn't break you. It revealed you. And if you let it finish its process, it will seal you. Not just as somebody with favor, but somebody who can finally carry it. Own it or be owned by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.